That didn't work out. And my phone's dying, and I got to get to the postal service to get some certified mail out today. How's everybody doing? Hit the number 1 button. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Yeah, I tried to create it so that I could have a thing here. Actually, Zayner was trying to get it done, but it ended up that I couldn't get it done because the battery power, how it charges your phone right there, it makes it so that it overheats your phone. It overheats your phone. There you are, random. Now you probably won't get timed out again, buddy. I added you as a mod, so appreciate you coming by, man. Thanks. How's everybody doing? What's going on? Listen, I've just been doing for the past I guess, I mean, yesterday I worked nonstop on an injunction from beginning of the day until the end. So that's what I was doing yesterday. I was working on an injunction all day. I didn't have any extra time at all. Can I flip this phone over? Will that work? No, it doesn't work. Okay, sorry about that. So that's what I was doing. I was working on an injunction yesterday, and then making sure that, we have the T-shirts are starting to ship now. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't think that's going to happen at all whatsoever. I don't think it's going to happen. For some reason, and I don't know why, just to, how do I make the least amount of drama possible here? I don't know how to do it. For some reason, the drama just loves me. I mean, it doesn't matter really what I do. The drama absolutely loves me. So I just don't want to say anything about anybody who I at one point really, really liked. So I just don't want to say anything at all. I don't want to say anything at all. So yeah, I know it. Jeebus Crisp, I know it, dude. I know it. So Jeebus, we're probably about a month away, and you know what I'm talking about. We're probably about a month away, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but we're probably right about 30 days before Jeebus Crisp, before we will start working on that next thing with you and Sarah. I got a bad battery, Coco. I got a bad battery, Coco Boo. Coco Boo. Oh man, this is great. So I was able to take a lot of things out of my van, and so I've been able to sleep in my van last couple nights, and it's kind of nice. It's really a freeing feeling when you're able just to sleep in your van. What are you doing, Zane? You want to just shadow this guy on the right side? I mean, what are you doing? Well, yeah, you're too close to him. Yeah. So what's going on, Jeebus Chris? What's up, Roy Nelson? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. What's going on, Brian Barbie? Van life. Have you guys seen Van Dwellers on Reddit? Have you guys seen Van Dwellers on Reddit? It's a pretty interesting little read. If you go on Van Dwellers, it's super interesting. No, listen, you guys got to understand. If I don't go on one day, I got at least 10 emails of people asking me, where I am. Yeah, you're not the best driver, are you? You are not the best driver. I mean, not the best driver. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, no, listen, just so you guys know, I spend the majority of my time that I am awake. I know, poor Zane, he's just getting beat up. He's just getting, because listen, just so you guys know, I spend most of my time thinking. I care about you guys too, man, believe me. Hey Pam, how you doing? So I spend most of my time just thinking. I'm always thinking about ways to affect other people so that we can make it so that people understand it's about Terry versus Ohio. I'm always researching case law. I'm always studying for the California State Bar exam. So for the most part, unless I come on here and I turn on, good, awesome, Jeebus. Yeah. everybody should, where they're going to be able to, remember Kent Freeman without a camera in his house, he would be looking at, would have pressed charges against him, and the lies they told in the police report were just absolutely incredible. Just Mike, what's going on, Mike? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. There you are, Mike. It's good to see you. I don't think you're going to do anything with that, but hey, I'd throw that to you anyway. I'm going to do, I think that with Aaron Collins this coming Saturday, we're going to do a talk on the, what's the name of this station again? It's called Free Talk Live. Is that what it is? I know it is, Jeebus. I know it is, man. I know I hit a choppy zone. It kind of comes in and out right here, right where I'm at. But you need the glasses with built-in cameras. That's what we need. And we're going to get into that video later tonight. I'm actually going to run a live on it, and I'm going to show the gentleman getting arrested in Houston, wrongly arrested. Wrongly arrested. It's atrocious. We've lost the mark of what is right and what is wrong in this country. We've hit this. I just, it's just the drama. It's just all the drama. It's just so much drama, and it's just crazy. It's just insane. And I try not to have to focus on it. However, the human condition is such that you do have to make sure that people who say ridiculous things about you, you have to make sure that you hold them accountable. You're not allowed to make things up about other people. That's not how it works. It's incredible. It's incredible. I have a list of people who I'm suing that I don't have time to catch up to get to those lawsuits. And now I'm going to go down over the next couple days. You guys are in for a real treat in the next 3 or 4 days. I mean, oh, I know it. A lot of people are making a living by just using my name. And they all act like, oh, I hate to make this video again. You have to make that video. You have to use my name for you to be relevant, or you're not relevant. I mean, I hate to tell you that, but there's news makers and there's reporters, and you are a reporter making videos about me because you don't have anything to offer. It's just incredible. So I just can't keep up with all the people that I'm having to take into litigation. There's just too many. There's just too many. Well, Justin, so first of all, Justin, just imagine for a moment that I know a little bit more about the law than you do. Just imagine that. Could you imagine that? Why am I running away from my warrant in Ohio? I purposely didn't go to court knowing that I would get a bench warrant. I didn't run away from any warrant. I wasn't going to walk into a dungeon that Waldo had set up to put me in his kangaroo court. I'm not going to do that. Why would I walk myself into a dungeon? For what reason? It's just absolutely preposterously stupid to do that. It was a bad, the whole thing was bad. So it's so funny because let me just explain the process, and I'm going to show you guys the paperwork this week. That's what the big treat coming up is. If they offer something, then they offer it. But if they just throw peanuts from the peanut gallery, they don't really offer anything, do they? Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So just so you guys know, I'm going to do the process here, and I've got to go in about 5 minutes. I really do have to go. I've got to get some stuff sent off certified mail for the next lawsuit that I'm filing. So just so you guys know, when Waldo set up conditions to the bond for me, I had been bonded out of jail, that I spent the $1,500 from people who donated to get me out of the dungeon. I'm super grateful. Thanks to you guys for doing that. And then when I was bonded out of the dungeon at my first hearing, what happened was Waldo set conditions to the bond, stipulations to the bond. I objected to those stipulations. And what Waldo actually did was he said that I couldn't come within 100 feet of Pam Wagner, Spooge, McKnight, Fauci, Blankenshit, that I couldn't come within 100 feet of those people. Now, I had announced on my YouTube page here that I was going to the city council meeting. right? So what Pam Wagner did is she went to the city council meeting, something she doesn't do regularly, and then she dispatched the cops who I had, that Waldo had stipulated without me, with me objecting, had stipulated that I had to stay within 100 feet away from these particular little piggies. So I said to Waldo, "You're trying to set me up so you can put me in a dungeon." And Waldo said, "I don't care what you think, I am the law in this courtroom." I have the transcripts of where he said that. So then when they said they wanted to, after that, when I went to the city council meeting and to the auction, the little piggies wrote affidavits, criminal affidavits, stating that I had violated the stipulations to the bond that I never agreed to. So what would have happened to me had I gone in front of Judge Waldo? He would have revoked my bond until my entire case of being arrested for peacefully protesting was over. I would have sat in a dungeon for months and months and months, at least 6 months, because this case is going to take at least 6 months. So I had to make an educated decision based on what I know about the rule of law. So the rule of law is pretty simple in this regard. What I've done now is I have added Judge Kevin Waldo, amended the complaint to the federal civil rights lawsuit, and we have resubmitted that this week. And so now next week, Judge Waldo will have to recuse himself from my case. That's how it works. You can't be the defendant or a plaintiff in a case and be the judge or the prosecutor. So that was my process. And now the next process, we will quash the warrant with a motion to quash. And we're going to submit several motions. I'm not going to get into all the details here. But it would have been absolutely ridiculously stupid for me to walk into a courtroom, a kangaroo court like Waldo's, so that he could throw me in the Lawrence County dungeon, where they could then put enforcers in my cage, to then hurt me or even try to kill me. Or all of a sudden I'm an intravenous drug user and I get a hot shot, like Jacob Cochran. He got a hot shot and he died. I wonder who gave him that hot shot. So that's the whole thing. So people who are, I saw on my Facebook page yesterday, someone wrote something like, "I lost a lot of respect for you because you didn't go to court." Actually, you should lose a lot of respect for your lack of knowledge. Because if you had the knowledge, you would know that wasn't a federal warrant. That's a local state warrant that is for a misdemeanor. It's not a felony warrant, meaning that I can be in any other state in the union and I can't even be extradited back to Ohio. I wouldn't have walked into a dungeon for my ego. And I made a long live the night before. Pride cometh before the fall. I wouldn't walk myself into a dungeon. That's absolutely stupid. You guys, make sure you hit the like button. There's only 75 likes and there's 350 people. You guys, everybody take your finger right here and reach down and hit the like button. Just take your finger and reach down and hit the like button. I don't want to block so many people, but unfortunately, because of the amount of drama, you guys hit the like button. There's only 83 likes and there's 340 people. So everybody just take a second if you would, please. It means a lot. Just take your finger like that and just go boosh. Just take your finger and just go wham. Just take your finger, just boom. Just hit the like button. Let's get to 200 or 300 likes on there and then upvote it and then drop some comments in here, right where you guys are dropping comments. Just keep on dropping some comments in here. Let me know where you guys are from. Yeah, Semper Fi Patriot, Yeah, they did. So Semper Fi Patriot, I know that you are, obviously you've served in the military. And so you said some things on the last live that were just, Semper Fi, you notice I didn't block you or put you in timeout when you said things in the last live that you said to me. But did you know that that's what they had done? I mean, I read all your comments. I read all the emails. I read everything. I want to know if someone's in trouble and they need my help. And that's why I read every email. Because there's someone out there, some obscure case that no one's heard of, that somebody needs help. And a lot of these people who call themselves influencers, they're really fast to go chase down the Jacob Blake case. But they're not as fast to go chase down a minuscule small case that nobody's heard about in Arkansas or Missouri or Texas or Indiana. They're not as quick to want to go running to one of those cases because there's no national media, there's no national attention. I want you guys to notice what I do is I go to small towns and I go to people who need my help. And I don't go to the huge cases because there's already enough attention on those. I go to the people like Sarah Page, like Christy Roan, where there's no attention being paid. Like Tony's case in Massachusetts. Tony's getting railed over the coals by the feds. They want to put him in a dungeon. He's never hurt anybody in his life. It's a victimless crime. And so they want to put him in. So anyway, Semper Fi Patriot, part of the reason why I just explained the process in great detail was because people like Semper Fi Patriot who say things to me, but they really don't have the understanding as to the reasons why I wouldn't follow a kangaroo court. That's not rule of law. What Waldo did is called tyranny. It's called a chaotic, tyrannical state. That is not rule of law where you create stipulations. That's okay, Semper Fi. I didn't notice, Semper Fi, I didn't put you in timeout and I didn't block you because I've seen you in the room 100 times, and I think that we are on the same side. We want liberty and freedom. We want rule of law. We all want, I mean, if you don't want rule of law and you follow me, I'm probably the wrong person. There's guys out there who are like, yay, anarchy, yay, volunteerism. I'm against those. So if you're not for rule of law, then you're probably on the wrong page. Let me direct you to other people who that's what they teach. They teach, you know, they don't go into any minutia detail because they can't. But they talk about anarchism and volunteerism, but they can't get into the nitty-gritty detail because it always boils to violence. There's no other system that gets justice better than the rule of law. There's no other system. The only system that gets justice without death is rule of law. And I'll give you a very simple example, the same one that I've given to everybody else, and I want you guys to kick it around in your head. Your daughter or your son, 8 years old, outside playing. Now, the speed limit on your road is 20 miles an hour. Okay, now that's not the rule of law because we're living in a we're living in an anarchist or a volunteerist society. Let's just say, for example, that we didn't have to go to a revolutionary war and millions of people didn't die. Okay, which would happen, by the way. Thanks, Marco. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. So we don't have to go to a revolution. Magically, we switch to this volunteerist society. So I'm sorry. It's a joke. But if it was true, if we magically switched to a volunteerist society and there was no authority and nobody was in charge, everything was done by volunteer. Okay, cool. So social contract, John, is rule of law. So we agree there, sir. So, yeah, of course, I'm not mocking volunteerism. I'm just saying it wouldn't ever work. And let me explain the reason why. And listen to me, I'm not mocking it. I want you guys to actually think about it. Think about this, okay? And so there's no mocking here. I'm just laughing because to change the social contract would require a revolutionary war. If we could magically switch to another way. Well, Grease Monkey videos. I'm not sure if that's Brian or someone who does his videos. I got a lot of respect for Brian for over there, but I don't think that anybody can really back up the argument. So, am I mocking? Maybe I should be a little kinder. You're right. Maybe I should be a little kinder. But remember, I get a lot of teeth and gnashing of teeth coming at me, so I'm trying to be nicer because I get a lot of what is it in the Bible? The gnashing of teeth. Right? So I'm not sure if that is Brian for Grease Monkey videos in here or if that's someone who does little clips of Grease Monkey videos. But Grease Monkey videos, you know, he's for anarchism. He said he's for volunteerism. So then I want you guys to answer this question, and I'll try not to be mocking or condescending. I do too. I like Brian a lot. I mean, Brian and I are friends. I never know from day to day who is my friend. Oh, hey, Brian, it is you. So, Brian and I are friends. And he's my buddy. And we talk on the phone, and he's a great dude. So, but Brian, and this is the question, and I'm kind of directing this, I'm kind of directing this to you, Brian, and I want you to answer the question, or I want someone here to be able to answer the question. Your 7 or 8-year-old kid is outside playing in the road. Because kids play in the street. They play baseball in the street. Game on. No cars. Game off. Cars are gone. And so the speed limit through your particular neighborhood is 20 miles an hour. It's not a speed limit law. It's just a rule, because in an anarchist or volunteer society, everybody's free to do what they want, but there are rules, right? Okay. So then a car goes speeding through there at 90 miles an hour in your neighborhood where your 8-year-old is playing outside, boy, girl, whatever the kid is. Okay. Now, one of 3 things can happen here, and I want you guys to play it out. The first, guy goes through your neighborhood at 90. You go outside, you stop his car. Hey, don't go through here at 90. My kids are playing out here. That's going to lead to what? I'm going to say, okay, you're right. I shouldn't drive 90 through your neighborhood. Okay, fine. Second one, guy goes through your neighborhood at 90, hits your kid. Your kid got hit by a car. Broken leg. You already warned the guy not to go through here at 90. He went through there at 90, and this time your kid couldn't get out of the way in time. And you know what? Boom, kid's got a busted leg, compound fracture, bone sticking out. You don't have time to deal with the guy. You have to take your kid to the volunteerist hospital. There's no Hippocratic Oath anymore because it's all volunteer. Hippocratic Oath would be gone in a volunteer society because the Hippocratic Oath is a hard law that says you cannot deny someone care who's in need of care. That's a law. It's not a rule. That's a law for all medical professionals in America, that if someone brings their kid into your office and you have the ability and you're not impaired from alcohol or drugs, that you have to fix the kid. You can't leave the kid on the table. You can't do that. That's called the Hippocratic Oath. So you can't violate your Hippocratic Oath, but without rule of law, the oath would be gone. So you would be volunteering or in anarchy, you would be a doctor that didn't have to live by that rule of law. But if the kid is in front of you with a compound fracture, you don't have to do it. There's no rule of law. There is still a Hippocratic Oath, but it's not a law that you have to do it. So the doctor has to then decide on whether or not he's going to fix your kid's leg. Okay. So now what happens to the guy that hit your kid? What happens to the guy that hit your kid? You want one word. What's the word you want? Anybody? Type it in there. What's the word that you want? What's the word that you want when someone hits your kid for doing 90 in your neighborhood and compound fractures his leg? Retribution is how it goes into an anarchist and volunteer society. The word I'm looking for, justice. That's right. Justice. Jessup Crisp's got it. Ginger Boss audits. Ginger Boss audits. Okay. So now, so you want justice because your kid has had his leg badly broken. I want justice, right? But what does justice turn into when there's no rule of law? What does it turn into? It turns into Zaner and I are going to go over and we're going to grab you for breaking my kid's leg, and we're going to beat the stuffing out of you for doing that. And we're going to break your car. I'm going to break your steering wheel. I'm going to break your gas pedal. I'm going to take your spark plug so you can't drive your truck through my neighborhood anymore and break my kid's leg. That's what's going to happen. Am I incorrect? I mean, does anybody disagree? Hey, Robert, Pensacola, Florida. I'll be in Florida sometime this summer. Robert, send me an email. I'll reach out to you when I get there. So now what happens? Anybody? Can anybody tell me what happens? The guy broke my kid's leg, compound fracture, after I warned him, do not drive through my neighborhood at 90. There's a rule here. There's a rule, okay? So now, after that, let's play one more scenario out. I said there was 3. The first one is the guy goes through your neighborhood at 90. You go out there and tell him to slow down. A marriage contract is for an entirely different reason. We can get into that later. That was about something different. The marriage contract, by the way, is a big story. It's not a small one. We'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to ask you guys a question. The third scenario plays out. The third scenario. Guy goes through your neighborhood at 90 miles an hour, hits your kid. Your kid is dead. Your kid is dead. Your kid's dead. Let that sink in. Someone drove through your neighborhood at 90 miles an hour after you warned him not to do that. The kid is dead. He's 8. She's 8. Well, Mark, the second part of that, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, the very next line in the book of John then goes on to say, but I say to ye to resist this temptation, and if ye is smite in the cheek, turn and let ye smite the other cheek. You see? So look, Grease Monkey Brian, you know how much respect I have for you, brother. I think you're a real leader, and I really respect the heck out of you, man. You know I do, dude. I've talked to Grease Monkey on the phone for probably 20 hours of my life. We spent so many hours talking on the phone about the social contract and about his volunteerist ideas and anarchist ideas. And just so you guys know, when I talk to Brian, I'm super respectful. He's super respectful to me. We just have a disagreement on how it would work. And so that's the question and I said this to Brian on the phone one time. Let me say it to you again. Let me say it to you again though, Brian. I have put these problems on your cart. You have to take these problems off of your cart. Down by the river. I'm in a van down by the river. Okay, so Brian, I have put these items on your cart. And now for you to uphold the idea of anarchism or volunteerism, you have to take those ideas off your cart and show us how a social contract would work without rule of law on a volunteerist society when my kid is dead. My kid is dead, and that's SOB in the truck. He killed my kid. There was 20-mile-an-hour speed limits posted everywhere, and that SOB ran my kid down, and my kid is dead. And so then we grab the guy, we grab him, right? Because we don't want him getting away. And then we find out he's not drunk or high. He's just driving like an a-hole, right? And then what happens? It's a volunteer society. So he's going to go before who? Where? He doesn't have to go. He's free. He's free. He was free to drive 90 through that neighborhood. He was free to drive however he wanted. He was free. He was a free man. He had every right to drive 90 through your neighborhood. Oh, yeah, good answer, Mr. B. Silver. Get your kid out of the street. But let's just say kids are having a dirt clod fight in the street. Come on now. Come on. So now you have been, your kid's been killed by a guy in a truck after you warned him. And now what happens next? Go ahead. I'm waiting. Go ahead. Play it out. What happens next? I mean, look, Brian, you know, I don't know if I want to debate anybody anymore because it seems just to cause hard dividing lines. And it's not so much that I want to be right. It's just I've done the reading. I've done the reading. I've read these philosophies. I've read Hobbes' philosophy about how it would go without rule of law, and I agree with Thomas Hobbes. I don't agree that the sovereign should be the government. I don't agree to that. That's for dang sure. I don't agree to that. I don't think that the sovereign should be the government. I think the people are the sovereign. But what I'm trying to say is that once you dispel rule of law, once you remove rule of law, then you're going to end up in a violent place, in a very violent place. And by the way, these are not my ideas. These are Thomas Hobbes' ideas. I didn't write any of these ideas. Just so you guys know, and it's not a big secret here, I'm not Einstein. I'm not as smart as Thomas Hobbes. I'm not as smart as Jean-Jacques Rousseau. I'm not as smart as Bill Gates. Bill Gates is smarter than you. Bill Gates is smarter than you. Bill Gates has his PhD in molecular biology. Did you know that? Did everybody know that? Well, the rule of law, Aaron, currently is a myth in our country. We are not living under rule of law. This is not a rule of law society. We are not living under rule of law. This is a chaotic, tyrannical state, and this is where Grease Monkey and I are going to agree 100%. This is not rule of law. You guys hit the like button. I'm so sorry. Everybody take your finger right there and hit the like button. There's only half the amount of likes to people in the room, so if you guys would please just take your finger and just pop the like button for me. It means a lot to me. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Yeah, Bill Gates is not a good man, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he's smarter than us. He's smart. And I say us because I include myself in the short bus category. Let me know where you guys are watching from. But this is where Brian and I are going to agree, is that we're not living by rule of law. This is not rule of law. We're living in a total tyrannical police state, prison state, death state. That's what we're living in. This is complete and utter garbage. Hey, Brian, send me, but Brian, you know, and I hate to have a debate with Brian when he's in text and I'm talking. It's just not fair because he's an articulate, intelligent man and he should get a fair chance to speak too. But let me just speak to that, Brian, what you just said. No rulers. Now, according to Locke's idea of what the social contract is, I'm in New Hampshire, Robert. Where are you at, dude? Send me an email. Alaska. I'm from Alaska. What's up, Playboy? What's up, Playboy? What's going on? I'm from Alaska and I got an AK person here and I'm in New Hampshire. I'm in New Hampshire right here. I'm in the New Hampshire area. Who's around? What's up? What's up? Let's get together. Let's smoke one. So, Brian, you're going to have to get to this answer though. You know, here, Brian said there's no rulers. That's what Brian just said. He just said anarchy means no rulers. Okay, fine. Then let's play the game all the way out. Let's stay in the same scenario. You got a dead kid in your arms. Your kid's dead. Your kid's been hit by the truck doing 90. Who has the authority to take the body away? Who's going to take the body of the dead kid away? Who's going to take the body away? I'll wait. Who's going to do it? No rulers and no masters. Okay, fine. Who has the authority to take away your dead kid? Do you want an autopsy? Would you like an autopsy on your child? What if your kid miraculously dies in school at 13 or 14 years old? Kid just dies one day. Do you want an autopsy? Who's authorized? Who has the authority to perform the autopsy? You see, the idea of anarchism and volunteerism, it sounds real good until you read Jean-Jacques Rousseau's social contract and he explains how interconnected our world is. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, you do too, Brian. You don't have the authority to deal with that body. And if you go and desecrate that body by burning it or do anything like that, then you could be committing a crime. Even under the rules in anarchy, you have to have some rules that if a 14-year-old or a 40-year-old person just dies all of a sudden, you got to get an autopsy. Who has the authority to perform the autopsy? Do you have to sign off on every little thing? It's just... Okay, but here, Shanta Spencer, anarchy would not work. It would not work, and neither would volunteerist. Hey, Sharon, how you doing, hon? We are too involved. Sharon, I never got any permissions from all those things I sent you. You have to try to download those, and then it'll ask me about permission to open those up. And Brian said it's not about authority. Authority is a mental construct and a fiction. Well, that kind of is true, but it's kind of not true, Brian. What about who takes the body away? Who's the authority in charge of the autopsy? And what kind of rules are around that? If there's no rule of law, then anybody can come in when he's doing the autopsy and maybe they can say what they think to the guy doing the autopsy on your dead brother or your dead kid. When you get down to life and death, all of a sudden, someone being an authority really becomes a relevant thing. But just so you know, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, he said, Sharon, I sent you everything, so all you have to do is make sure you just click them and take advantage of them. Well, yeah, you may agree with Brian about authority, but when you get down to the minutia, you can't answer the hard questions. Shanta and Brian, neither one of you can answer the harder questions. What do you do after your kid has been killed and the person who killed him says, I don't have to live by any rules. I can drive 90 down any road I want. Because they can't explain it. There's no explainer. There's no way to explain it. Listen, you have to read Hobbes. If you don't read Hobbes, I'm like screaming into an abyss here. You know, I'm like hollering this out. But to read Leviathan's going to take 2 months, 3 months to read it. And you're going to need a tutor at 420, everybody. It's 420, 420 people in the room. Smoke them if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. You guys hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. I got to get more people to hit the like button. Yeah, I know it. But I'm a real fighter. So when someone hits me, I want to hit them back. I can't help it. Oh, did I give Grease Monkey a wrench? I don't think I did yet. I didn't know that was his actual account. I thought that was maybe someone who someone who, but Brian won't do any moderating. He doesn't time anybody out. And he doesn't block anybody. So, but then again, to be fair, Brian, we don't have the same trolls, right? We don't have the same trolls. Blaze it up. What time is it now? 3:26. So I probably have 30 minutes of work, and then see what time the post office closes here, will you please? Just look online real fast. Listen, I agree that more people have to take personal responsibility, but the truth is that there are leaders and there are followers, and that's how people are born. That's how people are born. There are leaders and there are followers. And I know, so Brian said, you don't have to answer the hard question to say you must answer this question or your system won't work is a false dichotomy. False dichotomy. What time is it? 5 o'clock? Okay, so we have a few minutes. Okay, then Brian, explain it. You know, how do you deal with someone that kills your kid? Let's say it's not a car. Let's say it's actual murder. Let's say someone actually kills your kid. Let's just, I mean, Brian, you have to be able to answer this question, or I don't understand your system. Because just so you know, by the way, I've listened to dozens and dozens of debates of people who've debated anarchism versus volunteerism versus the social contract versus rule of law versus Marxism. You know, I've seen thousands of debates. Before I came on this camera and I was going live all the time, I was a content. I watched I watched all of Brian's videos over the pandemic. So I'm super fortunate to be associated with this gentleman now. But you know, until you can answer that question, though, you know, I need to hear the answer to that. Okay, Shanta, explain though, and you got to explain it. You got to explain it. You got to be able to explain it. What do you do with the guy that speeds through your neighborhood? What do you do about the guy that hits your kid? What do you got to do? The guy kills your kid. And what do you got to do to the guy who murders your child, murders your mother? We live in a voluntarist society. We're going by natural law. I have the same amount of right to life as you do. That's what I'm trying to say. I just don't know. Anarchism, just like statism, doesn't have all the answers. What we do know is that it is never right to plunder people against their will so that you can enforce justice. Well, you know, so there's two different talks about taxes that we have to have. Okay. The first talk about taxes that we have to have is in the 10th Amendment. We have to talk about that. Every country in the world has taxes. Every single country in the entire world has taxes. Okay, Johnny, I'm glad you feel that, man. I got your vote. I appreciate that. However, what we have to fight against is the 16th Amendment. That's where our fight is. That's where we have that's where we have to fight. We have to fight against the 16th Amendment that creates the income taxes. That's what we have to do. So, you know, Shanta and Brian, until you guys can answer this harder question, until you can answer what is the process of a murder, what is the process of an accidental killing, what is the process of you know, you guys know about mens rea. Have you guys ever heard of that before? Now, I don't necessarily agree with the mens rea standards. I don't agree with it. So if you've never been through criminal court before, then you may not understand what mens rea is. Mens rea, M-E-N-S-R-E-A, mens rea stands for your core criminal conduct, CCC, core criminal conduct. So now mens rea breaks down the core criminal conduct. So for example, if you went rushing through a neighborhood at 90, what's the core criminal conduct? That's a question. What is the core criminal conduct? Did you knowingly, willingly, recklessly, or negligently? Those are the four phases of mens rea. Those are the four phases of mens rea. So which one did you do? willingly, knowingly, recklessly, negligently. Which one of those four things did you do that creates the core criminal conduct? And mens rea is going to come from the model penal code that's going to be written from 1952 to 1962. It's trashed and rewritten in 1954 when blacks are freed. That's another conversation as well. However, the core criminal conduct and the mens rea of every scenario plays into today's courtrooms, whether we like it or not. The model penal code was a big part of creating the modern day death state, prison state, police state that we live in today. So when you start to have these deeper conversations about knowledge, and just so you guys know, what Brian is talking about, have you, okay, not just Brian, but have you read Hobbes? Have you read, Shanta, that's a better person to ask. Have you read Leviathan? Have you read The Nature of Man? Have you read the philosophies that Hobbes wrote? So let's go by God's law. God's law is the 10 Commandments. And that's a social contract where you live by the rule of law. And so, that's right. So Brian says, just like saying back in the 1800s, every country in the world has slaves. How can we ever get along in society without slaves? And voila, we don't enslave people to produce cotton. We did though. We did. But Brian, see, now, I don't know why it is, Tom, but just so many people get blocked, man. I'm sorry. So, but Brian, and this is directly to Brian, you still can't answer the question. And that's what a debate is about. Brian, you have to be able to answer the question. And if you can't, then, if you can't answer the question, then someone gets me in an arm lock. They get me in an arm lock. They get my arm locked just right. If I can't solve the riddle, how to get my arm out of the lock, what do I have to do? I got to tap. So if I can't answer the questions, then how can you support a position? And this is what I tried to talk about on my last debate. If you cannot answer the question, then it's not much of a debate. You got to tap. If the guy gets my arm in a lock, I have two options. Either A, let him bust my arm, or B, I tap. There's three. The third one is I figure out how to get my arm out of the lock the guy has me in. But if you can't figure out how to get your arm out of the lock, then you either got to tap or get your arm broken. And so Brian and Shanta and someone else in here who was also for anarchism and volunteerism. Okay, you were. That's fair. I don't know what happened to Shauna. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to her. I'm concerned about her. I've texted her. I've called her. I can't get a hold of Shauna. So, Brian, you have a question to answer. Shanta, you have a question to answer. Oh, I agree with you, Shanta. You're not gonna get a disagreement with me that we're living in a total police state, prison state, death state. You're not gonna get an argument out of me there. You're not going to get an argument. We're living in a total... This isn't anarchism, and this isn't volunteerism, and this is not rule of law that we're living in today. This is absolute tyranny. Jack Brown, I hope there's not a civil war. I'm going to do everything I can to try to avoid it. Violence isn't the way. Violence is the wrong way. So the question's easy, Jeff, but no one can answer the question. No, Shanta, and listen, you're allowed to have your opinion. No one's going to fault you. And Brian, you're allowed to have your opinion, but once again, you're not answering the question, though. Is that fair? I mean, you read the comments. There's no question being answered. So for us to have and Brian, you're welcome to throw a question to me that I have to answer. or I can't support. This is why debate is a joke. I agree. You have to be able to answer the hard questions, or we can't really have a discussion. You know, if you cannot answer these harder questions, then either your arm's getting broken or you're tapping. Yeah, but Brian, we're not funding a social contract right now. We're funding a tyrannical police state, prison state, death state. We agree on that, don't we, bro? We agree on that. I mean, we agree on that. This is not a rule of law country. Remember, the cops can just arbitrarily decide who they're going to. I mean, Brian, I haven't had a good result from debating anybody, so I don't know if I want to debate anybody anymore. I don't want to win a debate or lose a debate. I don't want to win or lose. I just want to have a conversation. I guess that's the best way to say it. You know, I just want to have a conversation with friends and not get it where there has to be a winner and a loser. We can just have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's funded through taxes, Brian, according to the 10th Amendment. I'm going by the 10th Amendment here, which gives Congress the right to tax. So, yeah, I think you text that, a trial by your peers. Sure, you can do a trial by your peers, but you still have to be able to enforce that. If we live in a totally free society that's volunteerism or anarchism, how do you enforce a law? Listen, I agree that income tax is slavery, but I think that every single country in the world does taxes. Someone let me know a country that doesn't tax their people. Well, you phrased that wrong. So Brian said, and this is not a fair way to ask me. This is not a fair way to ask me a question, Brian. He said, so you want to fund your social contract by the violence and theft of the state? No, I didn't say that, Brian. That's setting me up for a real. That's a zinger you got there, Brian. That's a zinger you threw at me right there. No, I want to listen. We have to have people who are leaders and people who are followers. That's the nature of man. That's not going to change. People are going to be followers and people are going to be leaders. That's not changing. That's never changing. There'll always be leaders and there'll always be followers. That's never going to go away. So I hope I didn't. Am I still rolling on there? Am I frozen? Oh, am I frozen?
No, you're going.
Still going? Okay. So, but you guys got to be able to answer that question. If you can't answer the question, then okay, so, how do I want to fund it? I want to fund, listen, I'm not against all taxes. I'm against the 16th Amendment. I'm against an income tax that was created to give all the power to the federal government. They use our income tax money to make states do what they want by holding a budget over their head. I mean, that's what's going on. That's literally what's going on. And so you just got to get to the point where you say to yourself, how many taxes are fair? What's a fair tax? And are we living in a fair system? And is this rule of law? And how, and then here's the other thing that people say. You guys hit your like button. I'm not sure if you can still see me. Drop a comment. Let me just see what the comments say, because for some reason I can't see a comment on here. All messages are visible. I hope I can see you guys. But anyway, the point is show me a country in the world that doesn't have a tax system. All of a sudden, we're just not going to have any kind of tax system at all whatsoever. There's no taxes. So there's no social safety net for anybody. Currently, of course, our tax system is being bastardized. So it's kind of a hard argument to make, because we've seen that they're stealing our money and then they're just abusing our money, and they're putting us in wars all around the world, and they're not providing our tax money back to us. It's going to immigration, people who come here illegally, and we're supporting just horrifically bad policies, horrifically bad people. We're just having a very hard time. Is that really on? Turn that up. Let me hear that thing. Is that the actual thing? Because I don't have any comments up here, and I know that people are definitely talking. Let me see if I can.
Comments go.
Okay. So I guess for some reason I can't see it. All messages are visible. There it is. There it is. Now I can see your comments. I'm really sorry. I couldn't see comments for like 5 minutes there. You're saying, how could we ever build roads unless we threaten to take people's money against their will? That's not true, Brian. Brian, you have a fundamental, you have to have, so let me put you on. There is a fundamental understanding in the 10th Amendment and the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment and the 10th Amendment are totally different. They're completely different. They're two different things. And you gotta get there, brother. You have to understand. It's the 16th Amendment is the thievery. The 10th Amendment is how every country in the world is founded. Show me, someone put an example up here, right here, just someone put in the comments, go ahead and list the countries that don't tax their people. I'll wait. Go ahead and write down, but they may be evil, but write down a country right here in the comments where my finger is right here. Write down a comment where you show me that where a country does not tax their people. Go ahead. Which country doesn't tax their people? Go ahead. What is it? Which country is that? Which country is it? Which country doesn't tax their people? Later, Jeebus, good to see you, brother. But which country does not tax their people? Which country is it? Anybody? The UAE doesn't tax their people? Is that true? Look that up. See if UAE taxes. I want to see if that is. So Bermuda, Monaco, the Bahamas, and the United Arab Emirates. They don't tax their people? See if Bermuda has taxes. I'm just looking. You could be right. I could be wrong. Yeah, I mean, from what I understood, every single country in the world tax their people. But they're saying Bermuda, there's no taxes. I'm looking it up right now, guys. I appreciate it, man. Remember, I'm learning as we go here. I'm willing to have these conversations where I vehemently disagree with Brian. We totally disagree. I mean, our phone calls on the phone, man, we work these things out. We sit and talk about it in great detail, and we go round and around the topic, I mean, you know, Brian's my friend, so obviously I'm not gonna try to get him in a gotcha. It just is not what I want to do. Bermuda, Monaco, the Bahamas, and the United Arab Emirates are 4 countries that do not have personal income taxes. See if there's any other. No, we agree with that. Hold on a minute. I agree with no income tax. I never said that. See if they have a sales tax. See if they have any other kind of tax. I agree with you that an income tax is theft. That the 16th Amendment allows the government to steal your money. But that's not, now I'm dying to know myself. I want to know. I got to know. I have to know. I have to know. It's a tax-free nation that receives much of its wealth and government revenues from its oil discoveries. Bahrain. So Bahrain doesn't tax their people, but I'm just curious as to oh wow. So there's no personal income taxes, but I agree with that. I'm against the 16th Amendment. I agree with no income taxes. You got to remember, why do we have an income tax? Anybody know the answer to that? Does anybody know the answer? UAE does not put a levy on do they have a sales tax? How does the government get money? There are a few towns in Mexico. Australia doesn't have an income tax. There's no income tax in Australia. That's right. So 1913 is the year that the 16th Amendment became a law. What year do we go to World War I? 1914. So they created an income tax system. But I don't agree with that. Not all taxes are theft. The income tax that they put on us in 1913, that's the theft. But I think that a country should have taxes. This says the UAE does not levy income tax on individuals. However, it levies corporate tax on oil companies and foreign banks. Excise tax is levied on specific goods, which are typically harmful to human health or the environment. Value-added tax is levied on a majority of goods and services. So the UAE does have taxes. The UAE does. Right there at the bottom. Read that bottom part right there. Do you see what that says? That says that it does have taxes. So the UAE has added value tax levied on a majority of goods and services. So the UAE does have taxes. They just word it real nice. But the disagreement that we have is over the income tax of the 16th Amendment, which was started in 1913 so that we could go to a war in 1914. Well, so the way it is that our founding documentation that is written and going to be signed into law in 1791, that's when the country, 1776 is the Declaration of Independence. We still had a Revolutionary War to fight, okay? So I know it, God bless it. Well, the post office closes at 5. I got to print off a bunch of stuff, and then I got to send it in certified mail and serve an injunction, and then my lawsuit next week. So, right, so we started the income tax in 1913 to fund the war. Now, the 10th Amendment that's going to come into effect in 1791, that's created so that we can have a country. How do you have a border without a way to fund a border? And this is where my friends on the left and I, we just have a big disagreement. We need to have a border. I mean, this is where my friends on the left and I, we just differ. I think we should have a very good border in America. Now, I don't think a wall is going to get it done. I think there's better ways to create a border. But we should have a border. So how do you create a border without taxing the people to create border security? Who pays for that? Let's say you guys are for a wall. Let's say everybody's for a wall. I can sing, that's true. So then, that's right. Chile, the volunteers will all volunteer shift work to guard it. That's what I'm saying. Especially if you're someone who identifies as a conservative, who's going to pay for the wall? Okay, if taxation's evil is what Brian said, I'm trying to give Brian a voice here. This is really not fair to have. Brian, we should have a public discussion. As long as we agree to have a public discussion the same way we talk on the phone with each other, which is so kind and patient and respectful. You know, Brian and I have had talks for hours and hours on end, and neither one of us is rude to each other or mean to each other. I like Brian. I respect Brian a bunch. So I don't want you guys to think I don't like the man that is saying things back and forth with me. I have a very good relationship with this person. I really like him a lot. I really do. So we should have a public discussion, have a talk out loud, not a debate, Brian, because I don't want to debate anybody anymore. It just created so much division and hatred. I don't want to live in a hatred place, man. I'm not a hateful person. So we should have a talk out loud, though. We should have a talk out loud is what we should do. And then let people hear your voice and hear your position, Brian, because I think it would be a good thing to do, you know. But I don't want a winner and a loser here. You know, it didn't work out so well with the last debate that I had because some of his supporters are trolling me now and saying horrible things to me, when we are all in the same idea that change has to happen. We all agree on that, don't we? Don't we all agree that this is not rule of law, that this is not voluntarism, this is not anarchism, this is an absolute police state, prison state, death state that we're all living in. We all agree on that, don't we? This is not rule of law. We agree on that? When the cops get immunity, the judges, the politicians, and the prosecutor all get immunity, that breaks the first principle of the rule of law. There's 4 principles. The first one is that government and its agents are accountable under the rule of law. So we're not living in a rule of law system at all whatsoever. Do we all agree on that? Because I had some people from the other guy I debated come over and leave me just the most hateful, mean comments. And the thing is I'm really not that hateful and mean, so I don't want to ball up and fight every person who I disagree with. you know. That's true. That's true. But we should just probably have a talk out loud. I think, and that's what we should call that too. We should just call that a public talk out loud. Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, we all want change. We all want change. So then if you own a home, there's where the other big fake, the big fake tax is, that you have to pay and by the way, just so you guys know, originally there wasn't taxes on your property. That was slipped in later. You shouldn't have property taxes. That was created later. That's not the founding documentation that there would be a property tax, because then the property still belongs to the government. If you have to pay a tax, then essentially you're only renting a property until you can't afford the taxes anymore, and then the government owns your property. Property taxes are theft. Brian, you want to talk about thievery? Property tax is theft. That's where we agree. Income tax and property tax is theft. But putting a tax, especially a flat tax, on goods and services is what we need to do. Everybody should pay a tax on goods and services. No, Brian is not an agitator. He's a good friend of mine, and I like him a lot. So I got nothing against him. We just see it different. He's not an agitator. We just disagree on this topic. But thank you, Wolverine. I appreciate it. Wolverine, you're not blocked. Oh, I don't know. Hey, Wolverine Copwatch, though, send me your link, would you? Email me your link. I'll try to unblock you. But because we have so many people blocked, I've tried to unblock people, and it's not working. So, you know, and that's what I'm trying to say is I am for a tax on goods and services that you pay when you purchase a good or when you purchase a service. I'm for that tax. That is not theft. That's a way to fund our border. That's a way to fund emergency doctors. That's a way to fund emergency hospitals. You're not blocked, Rivers. I see you. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not against a tax for goods and services. I am against an income tax, and I am against a property tax. You're not blocked, News Nebraska. You're not blocked. You guys, listen, just so you guys, I mean, the 400 or 500 people here, you guys have seen how many people come here to say horrifically horrible things to me. So that's the reason why I'm forced to block people and why I have to have a subscribers only chat. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it. Thank you. So anyway, it's 3:53. I have 1 hour to get all my documents printed, get my videos loaded up, and then ship that off and ship in the injunction and then file my lawsuit next week. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've had to focus on some things I didn't want to focus on. And you can ask Zayner. I was miserable yesterday. Oh, thank you, Brian. So Brian said, I want everybody to know that I love Chile. It's sad to see all the going on with people being ugly with one another. We want a better world. I'm merely in disagreement on this. That's all. Thanks, Brian. I'm with you too. I love Brian. He's absolutely one of my favorite phone conversations. And we get on the phone about once a week. I mean, sometimes once a week, sometimes once every couple of weeks, but we get on the phone and we have these long conversations. And you would be amazed. Brian and I are extraordinarily respectful to one another. We don't treat each other poorly at all. Even when we disagree, we sit and talk about it, and we kind of, well, can you answer this? Can you answer this? What do you think about this? And a lot of question and answer time goes on there. So, yeah, Brian and I have had great, and so if we ever do talk publicly, Brian, let's just call it a public talk out loud. I don't want to debate anybody anymore. I'm done with it. I'm done with people dividing us. I'm not going to be divided from people who I actually like and respect and have nothing but respect for. And so what happens though is when you put someone in a challenge situation, then all of a sudden, then it's, you're jousting. And I don't want to joust with anybody, especially for people who are for change. So, yeah, Aaron Queen's got some good stuff he's been saying. I think Aaron Queen is a guy. I want to make sure though, but Aaron Queen's got some good stuff he's been saying. And Tasha Spencer, thanks for your input on this too. You're not wrong, with your position. I just would need for you to be able to explain it. I would need to be able to learn it from you, because every debate I've ever seen or I've ever heard, yeah, car taxation is theft as well. It's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, light worker. I don't want to have a debate with anybody ever again. I want to have a public conversation, but I don't want to. Thanks, John. You know, okay, Henry, take care. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you coming by. So that's what I want to do. I'm right now an hour and 4 minutes, and I'm right in front of this FedEx office. So I probably got to jump here pretty quick. New Hampshire Constitution, the unalienable right of conscience, Article 4. You see this? New Hampshire Constitution, the unalienable right of consciousness, of conscience. It's the Article 4th. I want to read that. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Truggle. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, have you guys got a t-shirt yet? Have you guys got a t-shirt yet? Listen, I got the We Don't Stop t-shirts. You can see them on the website, DeleteLawZ. Go to the website and get a t-shirt. I've only got about 100. We've sold 30 of them, so I'm not going to have t-shirts in very soon. Make sure you get a We Don't Stop t-shirt. What's up, Playboy? What's up, Playboy? Make sure you guys go over, because I'm telling you, I'll have my t-shirt in 2 days. I'll have my own t-shirt in 2 days, and I'll be wearing it in 2 days. And when you guys see the t-shirt, you're going to go, damn, I wish I had bought one. But I will not be doing another one. I will not be doing another one. I'm not doing another round of t-shirts for months. It's too stressful, because even missing one order, missing someone's size, sending a men's t-shirt instead of a women's t-shirt, which, by the way, for the first time ever, I've done an entire women's line of t-shirts. I've never done that before. This is the first time. I am coming back to Ironton. You know, and as far as the fight with Chad Gu, I'm still kind of debating in my head if I even want to do it. Originally, you know, because just so you guys know, I could beat the shit out of that guy. I can beat the shit out of most people, but there's people who could whoop my butt for sure. Whoop my butt in a couple minutes. I'm sure of it. There's people out there who can whip my butt. I know, because I went to MMA practice and I got beat up by people. So I know for a fact there's people who can beat me up. But Chad Gu is not one of those guys, and I could whoop his ass. That's not the point, though. Do I want to spend 2 hours a day training to fight a pig? I'd like to beat up a pig, but do I want to do all that when I'm studying for the California State Bar? I'm to be honest with you, I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to decide in my head. And remember, I'll be 48 the day of the fight. 48 years old. I got a big ego, but pride cometh before the fall. Is that what I need to be doing with my time, or do I need to be studying the California State Bar? You know, and so that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in my head, just so you guys know. And I haven't talked to the fight promoter, but also getting a warrant where I have a warrant in Ohio has messed up my schedule, messed up my timing, messed up where I was going to be, you know, messed me up as far as my schedule and what I'm doing with my life and my timing. Could you imagine just for a moment that I have an agenda here? Could you imagine just for a moment, you know? And so, you know, would I like to beat up Chad Gu? Absolutely. Do I want to make a spectacle? And remember, I could have fought pro when I was a kid. I could have fought pro as a kid in my 20s. And I said, I don't want to be a gladiator. I don't want to fight in a cage. And now I'll be 48 on the September 11th, and I'm going to be jumping in a ring. I'm thinking about it. You know, just so you guys know, my investors from Coded Friends, I'm still friends with all my investors. And so one of my investors from Coded Friends called me on the phone and said, Chili, listen, I know you could beat this guy up. I want you to focus on your California State Bar. And this is a guy who's given me $50,000. So it's like, I'm just thinking about it, because had my schedule not been messed up, and had I not had to leave Ironton, and then I can't go back to Ohio till the warrant is quashed, and then I got to travel, you know, I know it, Aaron. And just so you know, I've trained with Chuck Liddell, and he did whip my butt. You know, I've trained with Chuck. He did kick my butt. So he beat me up. When I trained with Chuck, he stomped me. So, you know, and that's when we were young, and you just look old in your 40s when you're fist fighting people. So I just don't know, you know. And you said, if you don't fight him, the trolls will win. Yeah, but pride cometh before the fall. You know, is that what you want? Are you so prideful that you worry about what people think or say about you? Is that what you are? Or should I really stay focused on helping these people who have been screwed by the system, and I have the mental capacity to, and let's just play it the other way. Let's say Chad Goo, let's say he gets an amazing right and knocks me unconscious and Chad wins. Congratulations, Chad, you beat me. But then he knocks my head senseless and I can't think straight for a week. Military, send me an email. I got to know if you got a video. That's the most important thing. And so I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking about it. You know, I'm thinking about it. You know, and it has nothing to do with not wanting to fight Chad Goo. You know, and by the way, I'm not against going over to the guy's training camp and going into his training camp. And let's just have a go right there. He can throw all the punches he wants. He's only going to get 1 or 2 punches off before I put him on the ground and beat the shit out of him. I mean, that's just, I'll go to his training camp. He's got a training camp, right? Chad Goo does have a training. Chad, you have a training camp, don't you? As long as it's outside of Ohio, I'll come up there and I'll go around with you in the training camp and I'll show you that I can just spank you, dude. I mean, I just can. It is what it is. I can spank that guy. You guys, listen, I am what I am. You guys just see a tiny fraction of my training. I'm the real deal. And I've been this tough since I was in high school. I mean, you can ask my high school friends. I mean, everybody in my hometown knows. They all know. Everybody from where I'm from, they know. They saw me do it. So you know, I'm just kind of trying to prioritize properly, and I don't want to let the people who are relying on me down. And I don't want to let myself down where I spend 2 hours a day training for a fight with a goober as compared to spending that 2 hours a day studying for the California State Bar. But Chad Goo does have a training camp. I'm more than willing to pop in there. I don't know where that is, Chipotle. I don't know. Oh, Jay wants to fight him? Who's Jay? Who's Jay? But he does have the First Amendment belt. It sounds like a great belt. Have you guys got a t-shirt yet? Listen, I'm trying to tell you guys the We Don't Stop t-shirts are on DeleteLawZ. They're going to be gone in about a week. And you will remember I sat here and said, go get a We Don't Stop t-shirt. I have women's. The women's are kind of V-neck. They're super, super dope. You guys are going to love them. Make sure you go get a We Don't Stop t-shirt. Make sure you go and get, because once they're gone, they're gone. They're gone. I'm not doing another batch. I am not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You guys can send me an email. Oh, JNS want to fight. I'd put Jay in the ring against that guy. Jay's a trained MMA fighter. That guy would destroy him. He would destroy him. Monaco. Okay, so anyway, listen, you guys, I have now 56 minutes to get all my printing done and then get it over to the post office and get it mailed out certified. I do have a few sweatshirts left. If you want a sweatshirt, you got to email to me. I got a few sweatshirts left in Dallas that Yunez can ship. So I got a double XL for the We Don't Stop t-shirts. I have a double XL in stock for the We Don't Stop. So you guys get back to me as soon as you can. Don't wait on the t-shirts. You're going to look up. They're going to be gone, and I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You know me, dude. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just too freaking busy. And by the way, I told Zane not to pull a hammy the other day. You know who pulled a hammy? I did. I pulled a hammy. My hamstring is so pulled right now. You have no idea. I'm in absolute excruciating pain. No income tax is one thing. But we, you know, what about just a regular tax on goods or a tax on services? What about that? Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know it. I would love to see JNS. I would love to see JNS in there. It wouldn't matter how good of shape Chad Goo got in. He could get down to 210 pounds. It wouldn't matter. He doesn't have the years of pedigree that I have. He just doesn't have it. And I'm more than willing to go by his training camp. I just don't know if I want to spend this amount of time focusing on fighting some dude who's never had a wrestling match in his life. But I'll go over to his training camp. I'll put him on the ground 15, 20 times in a row. I'm just telling you. Anyway, listen, I got to go to work. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for allowing me the space to talk. I super appreciate it. Make sure if you're from Canada, you email me because I will ship you a shirt. Greg, I know I'm shipping you a shirt. Get back to me as soon as you can, as soon as you can. Love you guys. I will talk to you soon. And we don't stop. Under any circumstances, under any conditions, we don't stop. God bless you guys. God bless the United States of America. Fight for our country. Fight for our Bill of Rights. Fight for your rights and learn them. Please. Appreciate your time. All right? We don't stop. I'll see you guys soon. Later.